has been replaced with the power money brings pain. No. There's no reason to be anxious. Got to stand up and rise again now. All over the world, people are changing. Changing, my God, motivated. All over the world, people are changing. Changing.
Hello, Daryl. How are you today? You're muted, Daryl. Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello, Ed.
Happy April. Happy 420. Happy Thursday.
Happy April Fool's, Ed.
Yeah, you look the fool today there, Daryl.
Oh, I am quite the fool today. I got lots of jokes for you a little bit later and everything.
You do? Well, that's good to hear. I'll let you know, Daryl, that we are here today to support legalization of cannabis in the great state of Minnesota. That's our goal, is to go ahead and get cannabis legalized here in the great state of Minnesota. So we're just trying to spread the word. And I'd like to go ahead and say welcome to everybody out there in Facebook world, on the interwebs, out there in, wherever you're from. We're here to say hi, howdy do, hello.
Absolutely, Ed. Hi to Facebook and everybody out there in our social media world. And if you're not watching us live, you can watch us later. And we're waking and baking all the time, folks. Happy Easter to those that celebrate Easter and are into that kind of thing. The Easter Bunny is right around the corner. Hope he brings you something green.
I hear that, Daryl. Don't everybody like a little something green? You know what? Talking about green, April always brings the green back in my memory, because I grew up here in the great state of Minnesota, and for a good part of the year we don't have green. We have snow cover and ice cover, and things go ahead and turn brown and black for a while. But April always reminds me of that turning of green. Green's my favorite color. It's the renewing. Renewing, Daryl.
It's the renewing of life. It's the spring babies are coming out. The birds are chirping. I have not seen my wild turkeys out hanging out yet. They usually get in trouble. I don't know. Green time, springtime is one of my favorite times. In Minnesota, we have two seasons. We have construction, and then we have winter. So when I see the trucks out on my street, and I know it's starting to warm up, and I know we're maintaining our streets to the best of our ability. Some of us live on good roads, some of us don't. So.
Well, I live on a gravel road. I live over 2 miles down a gravel road, Daryl.
Oh yeah.
And I'll have to tell you, living out in the rural parts of Minnesota, definitely less road maintenance, should we say? And so during the springtime, we get a lot of mud out here, and so definitely. Roads in Minnesota, another issue that all my life has always been talked about, because again, they make that joke about there being like winter, summer, and road construction season.
Yeah, that's what it is up here for us. I grew up in the country and a farm in South Dakota, so I know what royal roads are and what gravel roads are like. I now live on a pretty busy county road, which is maintained pretty well, but it could be maintained a lot better if we would just legalize cannabis and we would shift some of those dollars from the revenue that we would get from cannabis into our roads and our bridges, into our actual state infrastructure, into our jails even.
Oh,
And
just
our trails.
getting revenue, getting tapped into that revenue stream, Daryl, would do wonders for the budget.
Definitely.
Where that money gets allocated to, you know as well as I do, where the money actually gets allocated to can change depending on, you know, what the powers voted into office determine at any given point in time, basically. Let's not forget, though, we are here to support House File 600, Ryan Winkler, Majority Leader Ryan Winkler's bill. By supporting HF 600, you know as well as I do, Daryl, that this supports small businesses, this supports minority businesses, this supports veterans, this supports our farmers. This is a very vast bill, but think about it, folks. Legalizing adult use of cannabis will do great wonders for this agricultural state of Minnesota. Imagine a whole nother line of crops that, like, eventually people in the farm industry will be able to go ahead and tap into. They're just, 5 years into the hemp revolution, Daryl?
Yep.
So
I think our medical cannabis program has been going on for 5 years. I think they were about a year ahead of that, so about 6 years. And I do think you're going to see great strides in the hemp production. I think you're going to see great strides in the overhaul of the medical cannabis program here in Minnesota. I don't unless we actually can move Paul Gazelka and some Republican leadership. I do see that we're kind of going to be continuing to push the full legalization even after session. So I would love to say that I would hope it would get done this session, but without your support, without everybody's support, I think it's really really hard in the Senate. So
what you're trying to say without asking people directly is to gall darn it, pick up your phone and dial that number that's right down here, folks, to Majority Leader Paul Gazelka. Call his office, 651-296-4875, and say, hello, Senator Paul Gazelka. How are you doing today? I'd like to let you know that I support Senate File 757. That's correct. That's the adult cannabis use legislation in the Senate, Senate File 757. Mr. Majority Leader Paul Gazelka, please understand I am a Minnesota voting constituent, and I am in full agreement with adult use cannabis legalization. How's that sound, Daryl? It's about that simple. You don't have to ramble on like I do. You know how I ramble on, though.
that sounds great. I was just gonna give that number again one more time. It's 296. I believe here I have it as 4875.
That's correct, Daryl. It is area code 651-296-4875. That will ring up into the Majority Leader, Senator Paul Gazelka's office. He'll most likely not answer that phone himself, but whomever does answer that phone, or if you happen to get to a online message-taking device, again, please just be pleasant and thank them for what they do and urge them to support Senate File 757, because without Paul Gazelka's blessing, the adult cannabis legalization in the state of Minnesota is not going to go anywhere this year. Is that what I am to understand, Mr. Paulson, there?
That is my opinion. I'm not a complete expert on cannabis legalization or how the Senate chooses to run their calendar years or their budget. But I will tell you, I've been around for about 32 years as a citizen lobbyist, and I am very excited to see the movement of cannabis legalization in Minnesota. I'm not so excited to see the movement in the Senate of Minnesota because they're not putting this on their schedule. They're not hearing the bills. They're not concerned about your voice in Minnesota, you wanting full legalization. They are concerned about medical cannabis program, and I think because of that, they'll think they deserve to be reelected. It is your decision whether you decide to reelect them or not. But I think without full legalization, maybe some of them don't deserve to be reelected.
Well, I understand that, Daryl. And there's plenty of pros and cons to what different representatives in our state legislature could be or should be reelected, or even if they should run for office. But, you know, again, a lot of that comes down on each individual constituent's outlook. But you did bring up an important issue at the beginning there about how again, if this doesn't get a hearing in the committee, if this doesn't get on the schedule, then it can't go anywhere. So I just want to point out, not only Paul Gazelka in the Senate could make this happen. Senator Warren Limmer is the chairman of the Judiciary and Public Safety Finance Policy Committee. And that's where SF 757 sits right now, Daryl, is in his committee. And he could be possibly moved to go ahead and actually hold a hearing on it. But again, folks, they're going to have to hear from all of us, because without hearing from us, they don't see an urgency nor a need to have adult legal cannabis use in the state of Minnesota. So again, Senator Warren Limmer. Oh, I'm sorry, Daryl.
Absolutely. I just had Paul Gazelka's phone number up. I was going to call him and give him a call, but now I changed my mind. I'm going to call Warren Limmer.
I happen to have his phone number too, Daryl.
Yeah, give me his number. We'll call it.
Well, if you're willing to make a call right now, let me say this nice and slow for you now. It's area code 651-296-2159. And again, Senate File 757 is the hearing we want, is what we want a hearing on in his Judiciary and Public Safety Finance Policy Committee.
It's that easy, folks. You just want to call 296-2159. Let's do it right now. Let's see what we get.
That sounds like a great plan, Daryl. We'll listen in. Everybody now just listen to Daryl.
This is Daryl Paulson. Well, it sounds like he's got a bad phone system at the very least. We hear it ringing.
Yes, we
We
do.
hear some crackling and the noise. Maybe he's in a storm-infested area.
Sounds like they answered, but I can't understand what it says.
Hi, I'm calling. My name is Daryl Paulson. I'm from Maplewood, Minnesota. I'm calling on behalf of the Wake and Bake crew and myself as a citizen lobbyist. And we are asking the senator to support Senate File 757 and hold a hearing on the adult use legalization bill. Please, Senator, understand that the people of Minnesota are behind you and they want to hear this bill and they want it to pass. And if you have any questions, you can call me at 651-387-8354. 651-387-8354. And I do want to extend an invitation, as I always have, every time I make a call on a live show. You can come on our show Monday through Friday, anytime. We'll set it up, and you can talk to us about your concerns or your support for the full legalization of medical cannabis. Thank you for your time and support, as always. I await your call. Thank you. It's that simple, folks. You just pick up the phone. You call them like they're your neighbor, they're your best friend, and you hope that they'll call you back. In today's world, a lot of times we text and we communicate by email. So I wait for those as well.
Well, Daryl, thank you for doing that. And again, we encourage all of you out there to pick up your phone and call Senator Warren Limmer and ask him to please have a hearing on Senate File 757. If we don't get movement in the Senate, this bill is as good as dead. We're getting great movement in the House side of things, Daryl. Did you hear? I mean, have we even updated the people that waivers have been granted? It passed the Rule 203 vote. That was just, they took this whole week off, and it just seems like, things are just getting started again. Here we are just getting started again,
I know.
So it's in the...
One thing in their defense, they're not taking the week off. They're in their home districts. They're in their home communities, talking to people like you and I. They're holding virtual town hall hearings. They're communicating with people just like you and I are, and they're working. When they come back, they will have a whole nother set of challenges to deal with, because then budget targets come out.
I totally agree, Daryl. I wasn't trying to go ahead and minimize the hard work that our representatives do for us at the state level. What I was trying to say is that they were not working at the Capitol and holding hearings for this past week. They were actually out, as you said, in their districts, meeting with their constituents and doing those other necessary things, hopefully, that we all want them to be doing.
Right.
And so...
And what do we want them to be doing? We want them to be talking about cannabis legalization with their constituents. We want them to be on the record in their communities saying that they support this. So that is really a necessary thing that they're doing this week. The other thing that they're doing this week is preparing for budget targets. Now, what that means is each body of the legislature has a target number that they're to reach and not go over. Okay, that means every package or every bill that they want to support has to be within that target amount. Okay, if it's not, then they'll fight about it in a conference committee. That means they'll take 3 senators from the Democrats, 3 senators from the Republicans. They'll take three from the House Democrats, 3 from the Republicans House, and they'll take those 12 individuals, and they'll have a conference committee, and those 12 individuals will decide, and they'll match up what those targets look like, and they'll have to match in order for the bill to continue progressing. If they don't match, they'll have to recess and come back and talk about it again. And they'll do this until the big bills are mirrored with each other.
Well, I definitely understand some of what you're saying. We get bogged down sometimes in all of that. What we as citizens can do is, once we've voted our legislators, our representatives, and they're up there in St. Paul representing us, or when they're out in their communities and their districts meeting with us constituents, we need to continue to talk with them and urge them to go ahead and put movement on these bills. And so the House File 600, the adult cannabis use legalization measure bill that Majority Leader Ryan Winkler has put forth this year, right now sits in the Environment, Natural Resources, Finance, and Policy Committee. That's Representative Rick Hansen's committee, and I believe that it's going to probably pass through his committee pretty well. But people, it's always good to go ahead and let your representatives know and let these committee members know how you feel and urge them to support, or if you are against it, I guess, then of course you would urge them to be against the bill. We, on the other hand, are hoping to urge them to be in support of legalization of cannabis use in this great state of Minnesota. And that would be HF 600 or Senate File 757. So if you're calling your senators, it's SF 757. And if you're calling your representative, then it's HF 600. People get confused, but when you go ahead and talk to your senator or your representative, just talk to them like Daryl said. Just talk to them like they're your neighbor. Be jolly, be friendly, and just tell them you hope that they support or you welcome their support for adult cannabis use legalization in the state of Minnesota. They need to hear from us, folks. They need to hear from us until this happens. We've been doing this for a long time. This is the closest we've ever been. We need to get over the goal line, as a sports metaphor would be, Mr. Paulson.
Okay, well, I'm not a big sports guy. I'm in a wheelchair. But the biggest sport I do, Ed, is I smoke a lot of pot. Or in some cases, I vape a lot of medicine.
And why would you do that, Daryl?
Because it helps me. I mean, it helps me in a number of ways. It helps me physically, but it also helps me emotionally. And it also is my right to do whatever the hell I want. If I want to get a little loopy or get a little relaxed, I have every right to do so, and I can do so legally on prescription drugs or any medications that my doctor may prescribe. But if I choose to do it with a little bit of marijuana or a little bit of green, then I'm considered a criminal, or I'm considered not a good dad, or I'm considered not a good community member, or something like that. I want to get rid of that. I want to get rid of that stigma. I want to get rid of that cloud that hangs over a lot of people. But if I want to go out and get a beer and get drunk a little bit, it's okay for me to do so, right?
Well, absolutely, it's okay for you to do that, Daryl, because right now alcohol is legal for adult use. Once again, we are here trying to promote the legal adult cannabis use, okay? Adult use. Marijuana is safer than alcohol, Daryl. Why can't we treat cannabis the same as alcohol?
There's a couple reasons why we can't, right?
Well, it's illegal. That's the biggest reason.
Right?
Now, I'd rather have it not regulated at all, because it's a plant. It grows alongside the road. It grows alongside the railroad tracks. It grows in the mountains. It grows in the valleys. It grows in the shady areas. It grows in the sunny areas. It's a plant given to us by the great creator, Daryl.
Well, I happen to believe that as well, and I mean, I'm not a very good green thumber, so I'm not. I mean, but I do not support any. I do not support promoting prohibition of any kind. If there's good gardeners that want to grow their own and don't want to have to deal with a shop or some kind of regulated market, I think they should be able to do so within reason. I think there should be some testing and some other regulated things, just so that there's no mites or no things that contaminate. Like, let's say you have a small grow, right? Let's say you're not a very good grower, something gets into your grow and it contaminates your neighbor's grow. I believe that there should be some kind of regulated quality testing industry, so that if one grow is contaminated, then it doesn't affect the other grows. And I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but I believe that that's the only real regulations that need to happen.
And you just like that to protect your own medicine, basically, or your own product that you're going to consume personally. You want to make sure that what you're consuming is to what you really want. You don't want adulterants. You don't want contamination from somebody else's possibly bad stuff. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Okay.
And I want to know what I'm putting into my body. I mean, I might not
Sure.
want to know every little bit that's in that plant, but then give me the basics. Give me the 5 basic things that are in that plant and what it's going to do to me.
Well, we should be very thankful then that like we have an active medical cannabis program here in the state of Minnesota, and there is like a great big push this year right now for there to be some modifications to the medical cannabis program. Okay, these changes can be very beneficial to the people that use cannabis as medicine. Now, Daryl, I know that you worked very hard to get this medical cannabis program off the ground in state of Minnesota, and you've been like a diehard recipient, patient in the program. And so I ask you, Daryl, okay, you have been you've openly stated that you love to smoke the ganja. Okay, what do you think about the changes that are coming possibly here to the medical cannabis program?
Well, let's back up a little bit. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I've been a very huge proponent and supporter of the medical cannabis program here in Minnesota. I was really instrumental in making sure that whatever we had here was going to work for patients and was going to be available for as many patients as could possibly need to use it. What happened instead, Ed, was we got a very restrictive program, we got a very costly program, and we got a very limited number of patients that are using the program. I will say for the first 2 years of my use of the program, I did not use flower at all. I did not, or very seldom. I would say maybe I could count maybe 3-4 times in the first 2 years that I was on the program that I bought flower and I used flower in conjunction with the state program. However, over the course of time, I've seen the cost of the program continue to be exorbitant, continue to be high, continue to be subsidized by the state. And guess what happens? The number of patients don't increase. Why don't they increase? Because what you hear is some of the patients, or a lot of the patients, will say that it's too costly, and it may be too strong for them at times. It may be anxiety producing.
Well, Daryl, I'll tell you the cost prohibition is the number one complaint that I hear from patients, potential patients for the medical cannabis program here in Minnesota. I have heard the strength issue, but not near as many times.
Absolutely.
However, okay.
So what I was trying to say is, over the course of time, I began to see the benefit of introducing flower into my daily regimen and to my supply of medicine, because I knew that I could no longer afford just using vape or just using oil. I had to be able to substitute a few days that I was without my state meds with flower, because that was the only way I could control my pest. So of course, over the course of the last couple of years, I began to understand the balance of using flower state meds. So seeing today, for instance, I'm able to get my state meds today if I want, but I can't. They goes in about 10 minutes, so I'll be able to. So now my cartridge is empty today. Normally, my cartridge is empty for about 10 to 8 days before I'm able to get some more. Okay, so that's I go with any medicine generally for about 8 to 10 days because I I can use flour to control some of my spasticity. I'm able to not go any days without medicine. And in return, I'm able to take care of my daughter, I'm able to talk to you, and I'm able to maintain a quality of life that I would have if I was using any other prescription drug or any other prescribed medication by my doctor. So it's absolutely ridiculous that and still not have a full supply or a full month of supply of medicine. If flour gets introduced to this program, I think you're going to see a lot more patients access the program, and I think you're going to see people not going without medicine for days at a time.
Well, that is one big hope with the modification to the program. Another modification to the program that they're talking about that's being proposed is to allow the legislature to also basically propose qualifying conditions. The commissioner, it seems like the program, it's been very restrictive and it takes a very awful long time for new conditions to get added to the program. And so one of the modifications I believe they're trying to introduce here is to allow the legislature to also go ahead and provide a track for qualifying conditions to be met, I think. That's my layman's understanding of it, Daryl.
I will definitely look into that again. I heard you say that before. I'm probably opposed to that because the legislature is only in office or busy from January to May, and unless they believe that they're going to be able to fast track certain conditions every year, there's already a process for the commissioner to approve those conditions by December 31st of that year, and then the production of that medicine goes into effect the following July. And so unless that bill act or that change actually speeds up the amount of production time, it closes that up a little bit. It doesn't matter who writes the recommendations or who adds the conditions. It's about that amount of production time, and the state statute says it doesn't have to be produced until the following July. So that's the little technical stuff that a lot of people don't understand.
Absolutely, Daryl. And again, they say the devil's in the details. You have to read these bills, and then like when they make modifications, you have to go and see what they strike out, where they put a comma in, where they go ahead and put a period in. Sometimes they take out a whole section or add a whole section.
Well, because here's the thing that I'm going to tell you, and I'm excited about, and I hope the Office of Medical Cannabis doesn't get pissed at me. But if the full adult legalization bill does go through and it becomes law, let's say it happens, okay? Because it's a matter of when it's going to happen, not if it happens. It's going to happen. It's just, we don't know when it's going to happen. When that happens, the Office of Medical Cannabis will shrink down to a small number of people, and they will only be there to show you the registration programs that they created, and they will do some PSA advertising to get new patients into the program. So that's what will happen to the Office of Medical Cannabis if HF 600 does get signed by the government. So I'm okay with that because all they do right now is they certify your ability to be in the program, and they maintain the database for those that want to see it or am able to see it.
Is that so, Daryl?
It is so.
Well,
Actually,
again, people get bogged down in this, and we can't go ahead and I mean, we could spend the whole time that we're on here reading the verbatim the bills and the modifications, but we don't want to bore people with all that. It gets boring enough the way it is, Daryl. I will have to tell you though, Daryl. So it is April, folks. It's April 1st. It's Thursday, April 1st. And it therefore means that we have a great big cannabis community celebration coming up. That would be the great day of 420. Everybody loves to celebrate 420 in the cannabis community. Well, I should say everybody, but a majority of the people I know love to celebrate on 420, Daryl.
we do, Ed. And on 420, we got a number of events going on across the state, across the great Americas that we all live in. And what do we want to do? We want to celebrate, and we want to do it responsibly, Ed. So what events do we got coming up on 420?
Well, I can tell you, Daryl, as a member of Minnesota NORML is having a rally at the state capitol that day. They're having a Capitol event on 420 at 420. They'll be on the mall. They're talking about having speakers. I know that right now, of course, we're limited to the amount of people that can be on the mall. I believe it's only 250 people. But Daryl, we're still in the COVIDs. So, if you're planning on going, folks, please be safe. Please try to be mindful of your surroundings and other people. Not everybody at that time will be vaccinated. There won't be herd immunity. And so we still have to maintain, good protocol, Daryl. But that's going to be a 420 event at 420 at the Capitol. Minnesota NORML, Minnesota Marijuana is having a rally as well. I think that Minnesota Marijuana is going to have some kind of a march or something, but I am not privy to their whole plans. I will say, Daryl, that us, the Wake and Bake crew, now this is maybe what you were wondering about, but the Wake and Bake crew, because this is in conjunction with the 3 days of renewing the Earth Day, folks, 422, we're going to go ahead and do a cleanup. We're going to do a community cleanup. We're just doing a volunteer community cleanup. The Wake and Bake crew is going to go ahead and be getting together in St. Paul and Maplewood at, is it Harvest Park, Daryl? Harvest Park?
It says Harvest Park right now. That's where I think we're going to start, and we're going to make our way down towards Lake Phelan along the Bruce Bento Trail, it looks like. And our city council person, Nikki Belvacil, will join us somewhere along there during that time to give her support and show her support for the 420 cleanup and the Wake and Bake crew.
So there's parking both at both ends of our planned cleanup route, and so just stay tuned to our Wake and Bake page on Facebook. Watch Daryl and I on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We'll try to keep you updated on what's happening, but we do have an event up. We're planning on meeting at 11 o'clock up in Harvest Park. And going until about 2 o'clock, and then we'll be taking a break, and then we're going to go ahead and go join the celebration with Minnesota NORML over at the state capitol, and we have a handful of volunteers that have also, with the Wake and Bake crew, volunteer cleanup crew, to go ahead and help clean up after we get done at the Capitol. So those are the events coming up in our world. Now, I know that there's other events going on. There's training with Minnesota Normal. They got a members meeting coming up in Minnesota Normal. They have a board of directors meeting coming up at Minnesota Normal. Minnesota Normal has their own Facebook page. Please go visit it. Please look at the events they have as well. Please participate. There's also Sensible Minnesota. There's also Minnesota for Full Legalization. Daryl, there are so many different organizations out here. People, you don't have to do this alone. You can go ahead and meet up, greet up. You can go ahead and get online with some of these groups. You don't have to do this alone. We're just here to legalize cannabis. And in the meantime, on 420, before we go to the Capitol to go ahead and rally about legalization, we're going to do a little goodness for Mother Earth. We're going to go ahead and do some community cleanup in Maplewood along the Bruce Vento Trail between Harvest Park and Lake Phelan. That's what I heard, Daryl.
That's what I heard too, and we'll have guests out there with us. You'll see Nikki Villavicencio, Maplewood's newest city council woman. You'll see her out there right along the side of us, cleaning up and supporting 420 and actually supporting their Maplewood residents. So come on out and say hi to her, and come on out and support the Wake and Bake crew as we do a good deed for 420 and Mother Earth.
Daryl, that sounds very good. Well, let's go ahead and quit wasting people's time. It's another one of those cold spring days in Minnesota. Let's go ahead and get ourselves out of here. Folks, y'all have a great day. You have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Facebook. Thank you, everybody.